Hi everyone, it's Laurel here, and today I thought I would make a card along on the video, which is something I don't normally do. I've been having a lot of fun playing with Stampin' Up's Iridescent Ice Embossing Powder. This is what it looks like. And I have to give Dawn5377 here on YouTube the credit. I saw a wonderful card that she made that I went on to replicate in my own, with my own stamps, and this was one of them. I love the effect, and I can't stop making them. So I thought we might make one together. So the card I'm going to make today is this one. And it is very sparkly. It's very easy to do, and so I thought I would just try and do it in real time, something a little bit different. So the stamp sets that I'm using, well, let's talk about the paper first. So my color combinations are going to be a craft, a vanilla, and a red. These all happen to be from Michaels. It's nothing special cardstock, as I call it. So the measurements is, I just took an 8.5 by 11 and I cut it in half on the, on the long side, and we're just going to fold this over, and this will become our card base. And that does make an A2 size card. So there you go with that. The first layer is, I'm going to wait for the camera to correct itself, so sorry if I go too fast. So the card size winds up being 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. My first layer, which is red, is going to be at 4 by 5 1/4. And then our focal piece is going to be 3 3/4 by 5. Okay? So we're going to put these over on the side and work on this piece. So the stamp sets that I'm using are, they all happen to be Tim Holtz stamp sets, and I am using Distress ink and a couple other supplies. So the first thing I want to do is I want to stamp our reindeer, and he's from the Festive Woodlands set. And I have some Gathered Twigs Distress ink, and I'm just going to ink him up on my Fisker stamp press pretty liberally. I noticed that when you're making these cards that are under this kind of sparkly glitter, if you go with the darker colors, the results are a bit better. So we've got him all inked up, and I'm just going to position him kind of right there. Give some decent pressure. And lift up. And somehow I always get an extra splotch there, but that's okay. Just makes it a little more handmade. Right? That's what we tell ourselves. Okay, I've been fooling with the different sentiments, and I like them both. I'm going to go with this Merry Christmas, and I'm going to do that in the Gathered Twigs as well. And we're going to put that right down here. I think this sentiment's going to fit a little bit better than the other one I had chosen. Okay, so that's where we are so far. Very simple. Anybody can do it. Okay, then I'm going to take this spruce or pine bough with the berries, and I have found when I'm stamping with multiple colors, it's just a lot easier to do it with markers. So the two colors that I'm going to use are going to be pine needles and fired brick markers. And then just very simply, I'm going to use the brush tip end of my marker, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to color right on the stamp those berries. And then I'm going to go over it and I'm going to color the pine bough. I find this is just a more effective way to get the multiple colors on it. And when you're working with distress ink or pens or markers, it has a very long open time, so I find that I don't have to breathe on it usually, but just for the sake of making sure it works, we're going to put our breath on it. And then I'm also going to stop a minute and just put a piece of catch paper underneath it so I don't mess up my mat. And then I'm going to start stamping the pine bough in this upper corner, being careful of his antlers. Okay, and then I'm going to re-ink the stamp using my markers once again. It's very simple to do. And I'm going to line it up kind of right there. And I am stamping off the paper, and that's just fine. And then for the last time, ink up, and this just takes an extra minute. But I really like this drawing on the stamps, because then you get it done in one shot and you get your color where you want it. And I'm going to grab this other corner over here. Okay, so just to show you where we are, all very dark, and we are going to darken it up some more. I'm not necessarily the pine or the reindeer, but I am going to take the brush tip of this marker and I'm going to go over those berries one more time. And the berries have like little dots in them, like where they're catching the light or where the stems come from. I'm not so concerned with that, but I am going to go in with my fine line side of this distress marker and pine needles and just try and do a little correction where the colors might have blended together. And that's another reason why I like this pine stamp so much, because it's very forgiving. Anybody can do it, can go in and correct it. It's just little lines. Got a little messy down here. Okay, so looks a little bit cleaner. And I've been making a lot of these cards, so I'm gonna I'm going to do all the white pen work at the end because I've just learned that it's better served to do it that way so you don't have to do it so many times. So then I'm just going to take my little mini distress tool and some vintage photo ink and bounce it off, and we're going to come in from the side and making circles. Kind of gives a nice soft effect. Start off the paper and then bring it in. And I go all the way around the edges first. And the reason for that is, if we have a little highlight around the reindeer, it will do just that. It will serve as a highlight. So I don't necessarily go very heavy around the reindeer. And don't worry if you try this and you're getting a bunch of swirls. Every one of mine has swirls in it, and it doesn't matter when you're finished. I am going to bring in a little bit heavier on the edge just because I tend to like that. Just offers a little bit of definition. Okay. Alright, so then we're through with that. So you see what I'm talking about in the highlighted area, and I'm trying to get it in the light so you can see it. So then the last step is to take a white gel pen, or one of the last steps, and go in and highlight what you want to bring out. So what I've been doing is I've been going in and putting a line on the berries, kind of like a little smile. A little curved smile. Hopefully you can pick that up. Actually, I'm going to try and zoom in a little bit. Might be a little better to see. And then I'm going to go over the reindeer's coat. Okay, and then I'm going to highlight the eye, and that was a little fuller than I wanted it to be, but that's okay. And then I'm going to go over the pine boughs just in a kind of random way to emulate some snow. Takes a little bit of time, but it's worth it, I think, in the end. And you can just go over what you've stamped, or you can just make new lines. It makes no difference. I just make it very random. Okay, so then I kind of take a look and see, alright, is there anything that I really want to clean up? And I don't have a Gathered Twigs marker, so we're going to let that go. So you can see all the white work, right? What we began with and where we are. I am going to try and find my darkest, like, walnut stain marker. And I'm too chicken to do it with black, but I am going to. Just put a little dot in there for the eye. Makes it a little more human-like. Yeah, that's totally fine. Okay. So white work is done. That's all done. Background's done. So now here comes the fun part. Well, the scary part, however you look at it. I'm going to bring this in because I've already been glittering on it. So you just take your Versamark pad. It's very simple. And you're going to go over the entire face of your image that you've just worked so hard on. A little bit scary, but worth it. And I just make sure that I get a good coverage on the entire thing. Okay, and then I strongly recommend that you switch the paper out from where you are, where you applied your Versamark. So I've done it on this paper, and then I'm going to apply the embossing powder on top of this paper, so that way it doesn't stick to your work surface. So as you can tell, I've been having a lot of fun with this. And I have some hemostats that I just use for this kind of stuff. I'm going to clamp them on, and I'm going to get back in the camera, and I'm just going to shake it on, starting at the top, pretty heavy, and then I let it roll down. And then I just take the other side, and I dip it in, to make sure I have really good coverage. And I shake it off. Okay, and we're going to set that to the side while we pick up all this. And it does kind of get everywhere, but I'm just having too much fun with it. Okay, so then you want to bring out your heat tool, and I'm going to try and hold it in such a way that you can watch the powder melt. A lot of people ask me why I do it from the underside. I just think it's easier when I'm trying to show someone how to do it. Seems like it heats the powder up quicker. And then you can see it change in front of your eyes. That's the main reason that I do it this way. Also, my old heat tool used to be really powerful, so my glitter or my embossing powder wouldn't go all over the place. I'd have to do it from the underside. I hope you can see that. It's just kind of hard to do and film at the same time. But we're almost through it. I strongly recommend, like, if you can get a set of hemostats like this, it really helps. Okay, so once I get a good melt on it, I do put it down, and then I kind of go over the face of it, just to make sure I haven't missed anywhere. real good. So, I don't know if you can catch all that sparkle, but it is there. Makes for a very, very pretty card. It's a really great product, and I'm surprised it's taken me this long to use it. But once I've started, I haven't been able to stop. Okay. So I'm just going to grab the other components of our card, which was the red liner and the card back. And I kind of thought to make this one a little bit different, maybe I would add some ribbon. And I'm thinking of doing that to the side. So I kind of want to leave myself more of a border on this side. And a lot of people kid me about my gingham ribbon, but I do love it. I think it's very Christmassy and festive, and it's just something that I like. But it's a color palette for the holidays that I like a lot too. But you can do whatever you want. It's your card. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to cut a small length of this to kind of get positioned in the middle. Just kind of have an idea of where I'm going. And I cheat. I totally cheat. I just scotch tape it on. I've never had one come undone this way. So it saves on the ribbon. You don't have to go all the way around the back of your card. And it gives you something to tie onto. So I just want to make sure that I do that straight. Turn around and look at it for a second. And I don't know if I'm going to have enough room. So, perhaps I'll just tuck it through. So then it's pretty simple. I just put my adhesive here. And tuck that layer down. And then I would just glue this down. You could put it on dimensionals if you want to, or whatever you happen to like, but I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tuck some ribbon through here and attempt, notice I said attempt, to tie a bow sideways. And I want to get it over as far as I can. Then the idea would be to tuck this panel right on top, and then I can glue this down. Okay. Sorry about for all the camera shakes. I am going to zoom out just a tiny bit Okay, and then I'm just going to add some adhesive here. Attempt to line this up. Allowing a little more border to the right. And then I'm going to flop that bow over, and I'm going to attach it with a glue dot. Or two. I don't know if anybody else has this trouble with these, but it's like it doesn't want to come off on my ribbon. So I physically have to take it off of the spool. Okay, and then there you have the reindeer card with the iridescent ice technique. I hope you've enjoyed this card. I really like making them, so there may be some other versions for the holidays. I strongly recommend that you go and grab this powder. Mine's from Stampin' Up, but there might be another brand out there. So visit your Stampin' Up demonstrator and try it out. Thanks for watching. See you next time.